What do you call this button? I call it a cross, but one of you definitely calls it an X. Which one is correct? Who's to say? Yeah, all the other buttons are shapes, so it would make sense for it to be a cross and not an X. But on the other hand, it's literally an X. We seem to, for the most part, have video games figured out. We generally know what makes a game good and bad, what you should and shouldn't do. And while some games break those conventions and turn out incredible, there's a method to it, you know? That being said, while we have video games figured out, the things we control them with are still an enigma, apparently. Game controllers. You put up with some, hate many, and maybe love one or two. In fact, this diversity in game controller likability has led to what I like to call Mikey's fundamental theorem of game controllers. Now, what does this theorem state? Well, it's quite simple. You see, if you look here, you'll see that they all suck. Allow me to explain. While yes, some game controllers are better than others, every game controller has something wrong with it. There is no such thing as a perfect game controller. So why don't we pick these things apart, starting with the Xbox. This is really close to being perfect. There's only one slight issue. The D-pad is horrible. It's so mushy, and they started putting shields on them, which made them worse somehow. I love this controller, but nobody uses the D-pad. How about the PlayStation? Why are the joysticks here? Yeah, the D-pad is great and all the other buttons are comfortable and easy to use, but the left joystick should really be on the top. And the Switch Pro controller? Well, that one's actually perfect. Well, kind of. Honestly, this one just feels really big. Like, really bulky in my hands. I don't know how else to put it. So as you can see with my flawless logical deduction, there is no such thing as a perfect game controller. And with that in mind, why don't we make one? I present to you the Mikecon 5. Where are the other 4? So as you can see on this controller, we have many new quality of life features. There is now a rotating faceplate on the joystick and D-pad, so now you can decide where they go. There's also arrows on the buttons, so that your parents or grandparents do not get confused as to which one is which. There's now also a Wii speaker because I liked it when it was on the Wii. There's a headphone jack because it's convenient. There's a seam in the middle so that you can twist it like this. And these are the triggers. I'm not an artist, don't judge me. So now that we've seen my objectively perfect masterpiece, let's transition to the opposite end of the spectrum. I've taken the liberty of researching some game controllers that actually exist, and I'm going to share them with you. The Mikecon. Remember that joke I made like 30 seconds ago about the seam being in the controller? Actually, that's real, and it's this thing. The N64 glove controller. Because if there's any game controller you want to copy, it's the NES Power Glove. The SpongeBob GameCube controller. Because you need this, I guess. The Minecraft Pig Xbox controller. Because the regular one wasn't enough. The Dragon Quest Slime controller. This just looks horrible to use. I don't know how else to put it. The Max Play N64 controller. Why does it have this appendage on it? The Mad Catz Microcon Macro Button 5636. First off, I wish every game controller was named something like that. This is the Mikecon Macro Micro Conjoy Joy-Con 9173294. Second off, this is the most we have a GameCube controller at home GameCube controller I've ever seen. Okay, so these controllers are silly and all, but if you're actually looking for a solid controller recommendation, I haven't done you any favors, have I? So, here's what I would recommend to you. Just use whatever you want, man. At the end of the day, as long as you're having a good time, it doesn't really matter. Out of all the controllers right now, the big three being Nintendo, Sony, and Microsoft, all have great controllers that all work cross-platform. The Xbox controllers are always a good pick, and the DualSense controllers are some of the most exciting and innovative controllers I've ever used. As for Nintendo, the Switch Pro controller is by far my favorite, having my ideal button layout and a really solid build quality. So, what should we take away after all this? That the Mikecon 5 is the perfect controller. Hey, thanks for watching to the end. The recent jump in viewership has been absolutely amazing, and I've just been having so much fun making videos, so thanks a ton. Peace out.